Because here's the truth. Confident people don't fail less, they fail differently. When you lack confidence, failure feels like confirmation. Hey, welcome back to the show. Today we're diving into confidence. This is not just any pep talk, but the actual science behind training your brain to believe in you. Let's talk about confidence. I love talking about it. I basically wrote a whole book about it in Standing Strong. And one of the key points in Standing Strong was how I used to think that confidence was something you either had or you didn't have. Like some people were just born with this magical ability to walk into any room and absolutely own it. But here's the truth. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something that you build. And neuroscience shows us that you can literally rewire your brain to become more confident. Before we dive into the science, let's bust the biggest myth about confidence. And that's that it comes from being perfect or knowing everything. I remember being asked to speak at a major conference, kind of my first big one, and immediately my brain went into overdrive. Like, who are you to speak to these people? It's a conference that's not still going. It's the Catalyst Leadership Conference. So a lot of pastors and leaders. This was, I think, 2013, and I was doing a breakout, and I remember thinking, this is terrifying. I should be listening to all of them. And what if someone asks a question that I can't answer? And my mind would spin on this. I think that is familiar to everyone, whether it is speaking at an event or having to do a presentation or meeting new people. Just everything can trigger this. This is what psychologists call the imposter phenomenon or the imposter syndrome. We've talked about it before. It's that nagging feeling that you're a fraud. And it's just a matter of time before everyone finds it out. Now, I do want to rabbit trail about imposter syndrome. I talk to my clients so often about this because they will say, well, I'm feeling imposter syndrome. Is that a sign I don't know what I'm doing? And my answer is imposter syndrome is great. If you have imposter syndrome, it means that you're actually doing something new. You're learning something, you're trying, you're expanding your territory. Whenever you feel imposter syndrome, be glad. It means you're about to enter a new phase, that you're gaining new skills, you're gaining new momentum. Imposter syndrome is good. It means you're alive and you're growing. So don't freak out when it happens. It's okay. It's normal. The surprising truth is that real confidence isn't about knowing everything. It's about being comfortable that you don't know some things and having the courage to try despite the possibility of failure. Research from the University of California found that confidence is less about your abilities and more about your belief that you have the ability to handle challenges. So it's not, I know I'll succeed, but rather it's, I know I'll be okay, even if at first I don't succeed. That is real confidence. See, your brain is really adaptable. Neuroscience call this neuroplasticity. We've talked about neuroplasticity quite a bit. When you repeatedly think certain thoughts or practice specific skills, your brain creates and strengthens neural pathways. It's like clearing a road through a dense forest that your thoughts have to travel through. Your thoughts are normally going through this one road over here. It's easy. Your brain doesn't have to think about it. That's where you're going to go. I want you to picture it. Every time you rehearse a thought like this of, I'm terrible at this, or I'm not good enough, you are hacking a path through those trees, right? And the more you repeat it, you're building that path of, I'm terrible at this, I'm not good at this. The more you repeat it over and over and over again, the more worn and wide that path becomes until it is the default route that your brain travels through that forest. But the best part is we can clear a new path, and it's a better one. And it's lined with possibility, and it's lined with self-belief, and it's lined with being empowered by the Spirit of God. That is the magic of neuroplasticity. This is where faith comes in. This ability to change and grow, that's not just science, it's how God designed us. He didn't create our minds to be stuck or stagnant. He created us with the ability to renew our minds, to think differently, to grow into who He called us to be. Romans 12:2 reminds us, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Neuroplasticity is just one way we see that transformation play out. It's right in our brains. So every time you say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, you're hacking a new road through that forest. Every time you say, I'm not quite sure how this is going to turn out, but I'll figure it out, you're hacking through the dense bushes and trees, and you're making a way. Every time you say, I'm not sure, but I'll figure it out, I have people around me who can help. I have a coach, I have a mentor, I have a friend. Again, you're making that new road. It's really hard at first because your brain wants to go down the old road. The old road seems easy, but again, you can do this. And I know you've noticed there's no shortage of confidence advice out there. Half of it tells you to fake it till you make it, while the other half says be authentic. So authentically fake it? No wonder it's all so confusing. But here's where things get good. The incredible thing about neuroplasticity is that you can deliberately create and strengthen confident thought patterns. Dr. Carol Dweck's research on the growth mindset shows that simply believing your abilities can improve actually changes how your brain will process mistakes. Let's say it again. Believing your abilities can improve will change how your brain processes mistakes. So when you have a growth mindset, your brain shows more activity when you make an error. It's literally paying more attention to what it can learn. Instead of shutting down in shame, it perks up with curiosity. So if you've ever thought, well, I messed up, I must not be cut out for this, try shifting to, I messed up, and that means I'm learning. That is a tiny tweak, but it lights up your brain in a completely different way. The words we say are powerful. The words we say to ourselves are very, very powerful. So also, brain imaging studies found that when you remember past successes, your brain activates many of the same regions as when you were actually experiencing that success. Okay? I want you to really hear me now. Your brain doesn't always know the difference between remembering a win and actually living it. That means just by intentionally remembering times you've succeeded, whether it was acing a presentation or finishing a hard workout or speaking up when it was hard, you're reinforcing those same neural pathways associated with confidence. You're literally carving out that new road in the forest, one that makes confidence easier to reach the next time you need it. And isn't that just like God? He tells us to remember, to reflect, to call to mind his faithfulness, because when we do, we get stronger, we get braver, we get more rooted in who he says we are. Remembering the past victories, both ours and his, is a spiritual and neurological power move. So you don't have to be born confident. You just have to train your brain to believe in you. And thanks to neuroplasticity and the God who built that into your design, that belief isn't wishful thinking, it's truth. It's transformation, it is brain science, and it is divine wisdom. Now, one of my favorite discoveries in confidence research is what psychologists call the Confidence-Competence Loop. And here's how it works. When you try something new, you build a little skill. That's competence. That small win gives you a boost of confidence. That confidence makes you more likely to try again, which builds more competence, which builds more confidence, and the cycle continues. It's like a staircase, but when you don't have to start at the top, you build it as you climb. Every small step lays another brick under your feet. But the problem is many of us get stuck waiting to feel confident before we ever take action. But the science shows that it's backward. Action comes first, and then confidence follows. Research shows that taking small, consistent actions toward your goals will build your confidence more effectively than any amount of positive thinking alone. Positive thinking's fine. But research shows that actually taking those small, consistent actions blows positive thinking out of the water. It is the doing that creates the believing. We can do positive affirmations all day long, but if we don't have evidence to back up those positive affirmations, our brain isn't going to believe it. And again, isn't that exactly how God works too? He doesn't ask us to wait until we feel bold or fully prepared. He calls us to take the first step, and he promises to meet us there. Throughout Scripture, we see it over and over again. Action comes first, and faith rises as we go. Just like Peter walking on the water, confidence didn't show up before the step. It came with the step. Now he got a little shaky because he took his eyes off Jesus, but he took the step. He took action. So if you're waiting to feel ready before you apply for that job or pursue that dream or have the conversation, you got it backward. You won't feel ready before you start. You'll feel ready because you started. Now let's talk about the physical foundation of confidence. Yes, how we hold our bodies really matters because confidence isn't just psychological, it's physical too. Harvard psychologist Amy Cuddy's research on power posing showed that simply standing in confident postures for 2 minutes raised your testosterone, which is associated with confidence, and lowered cortisol associated with stress. So I think about this when I'm getting ready for a meeting. Say you're in a waiting room or you're about to go into an important meeting or you're waiting for a phone call. What we normally do is we sit hunched over ourselves and we imagine our upper body in a C and we're just on our phones scrolling. Now we know, or we're in our email scrolling, we know what that does for our dopamine. So our dopamine is going to spike and immediately we're going to feel terrible. We're going to kill our confidence. We're not going to feel happy. We're going to feel insecure. Basically, whenever we kind of hunch over physically and then we start scrolling on social media before something, it is a recipe for disaster. So instead of doing that when we're waiting, we want to do something that's going to help calm ourselves and help us to feel confident. So even if you're sitting down, just relax. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. Taking just a few minutes to release that physical tension will help you feel better. That's one thing about the Uplift app. Say you're in a waiting room or you're waiting for an important meeting, you can pop your earbuds in and do a quick breath work. Nobody has to know, nobody can tell, or you can listen to a pep talk to get you ready to go into that meeting. But sit up straight. Don't hunch over. Don't just start scrolling through your phone. Physically, you're going to feel bad, and psychologically, you're going to feel bad. So think about that physical aspect of how you hold yourself. Don't curl yourself into a little ball. You can think about it when you're feeling insecure. How do you often hold your body? It is normally hunched over, arms crossed, making yourself smaller. But when you're confident, you stand taller, you take up more space, and you move more freely, and you take deeper breaths. That helps you with confidence. Your body is a huge player psychologically. So the physiological way you hold your body really affects psychologically how you're doing. There's also a real language of confidence. Our words have incredible power, not just the ones we speak to others, but especially the ones we speak to ourselves. Researchers have studied language patterns in confident people versus unconfident people and found a lot of differences. So confidence people use more definitive language and fewer qualifiers or hedges. Think about how you might say something like, I'm just wondering if maybe, or this might be a stupid question, but. These speech patterns don't reflect your confidence level. They actually reinforce that you aren't confident to yourself and to other people. I talk to my clients about this all the time, especially my executives. I told someone just the other day, take the word just out of your vocabulary. I just wanted to ask a question. I'm just wondering if maybe I could. Don't do those things. Don't be deferential when there's no reason to be deferential. Years ago, I caught myself doing this in emails. I started an email request with, I was just wondering if. And once I started studying confidence and language and communication, I realized that my language was undermining my leadership without me even knowing it. So the good news is you can deliberately change your language patterns. Instead of, I just think maybe we should consider, try, I believe we should, right? This isn't about being arrogant. This is about giving your thoughts the respect they deserve. Now, let's talk about things that steal our confidence. There are so many things. The number one confidence robber is comparison. Full stop. Comparison is killing your confidence. How do I know? Because it kills everybody's confidence. Comparison is one of those things that is cutting us off at the knees every single day. Every time you scroll through Instagram or TikTok looking at perfectly filtered lives, if that is your algorithm, you're sabotaging your own self-belief. I have spent hours scrolling through Instagram wondering how everyone else manages perfect hair, perfect homes, and the perfect children, while I'm over here celebrating that I found matching socks today. Remember, the people you're comparing yourself to are also in their bathroom taking 87 selfies to get that casual morning coffee shot. Nobody looks like that when they actually drink coffee. So you, yes, you, the one who's thinking, well, this doesn't apply to you because you're just keeping up with friends or getting inspiration, your brain cannot tell the difference. Neuroscience proves this. These comparison traps affect everyone, including you and me and everybody else. Keep it in check. See how you feel when you start scrolling, and maybe edit your algorithm a little bit or spend a little less time on social media, a little more time doing things that are going to build you up. Because we don't want to give the inner critic a foothold here. That's what I want to talk about next. We all have that inner voice that loves to point out everything we're doing wrong. Some people call it the inner critic. Other people call it negative self-talk. My inner critic sounds suspiciously like my 7th grade math teacher mixed with that mean girl from high school. I mean, why can't my inner voice sound like Taylor Swift cheering me on? This is actually one of the big reasons why I created Uplift. I wanted to give women practical tools to transform that inner critic into an inner cheerleader. So in the app, we have guided journals specifically designed to help you build confidence. There's one called Tracking Wins, Your Work Milestones, that helps you document and celebrate your professional accomplishments. Another one that I absolutely love is Look Back and See How Far You've Come. And it gently walks you through your growth journey so you can stop and actually see the progress that you've made. And here's the fascinating part. Neuroscience shows us that this inner critic isn't actually trying to hurt you. It's trying to protect you. It's your brain's way of keeping you safe from potential rejection or failure. It's like your nervous system is yelling, let's not embarrass ourselves today, right? I love Inside Out. You can see fear going, let's not embarrass ourselves today. But here's the twist. God didn't create you to live in a fear of failure. He didn't give you a spirit of timidity. He gave you a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. And sometimes that sound mind starts with learning to recognize and reframe and respond to that inner voice with grace instead of shame. And understanding this changes how you approach negative self-talk. You can, instead of trying to silence your inner critic, which never works, you can try listening to it with curiosity. When that voice says you're going to fail, you can pause and ask yourself, what is this trying to protect me from? Because when you turn toward that voice with compassion, you take away its power. And slowly you start to rewrite the script. With the right tools and a little faith, you can shift from fear to confidence and from criticism to courage. Now, another thing I want you to think about in terms of your confidence is your relationships. The people around you are either building your confidence or they are absolutely destroying it. There is no neutral. Research doesn't suggest or indicate here. It flat out proves that your brain absorbs the messages from your 5 closest relationships like a sponge. Hang around with critics or doubters, and your brain literally rewires for insecurity. Surround yourself with believers and supporters, and your neural pathways strengthen toward confidence. I want to tell you a story of a client of mine named Lori. She gave me permission to do this. She is an executive at a Fortune 100. And Lori used to apologize before sharing any idea at work. Her best friend was a chronic complainer who subtly criticized everything from Lori's career choices to her haircut. So what Lori did is she deliberately changed her social circle and spent time with more confidence-building friends, positive friends, friends who weren't actively trying to tear her down. And she went from perpetual apologizer to getting a promotion, which she got along with a $50,000 raise. You're welcome for that help, Lori. So let me ask you, who do you need to let get a little closer? And who might you need to create some healthy distance from? My guess is there's probably people in your life. Now, let's get super practical. I'm going to give you 5 evidence-based strategies you can start using today to train your brain for greater confidence. Number 1, the 5-minute visualization. I want you to spend 5 minutes each morning visualizing yourself handling a challenging situation with confidence. Now, when I first tried visualization, I kept picturing myself tripping on stage or getting spinach stuck in my teeth when I had to talk to someone. It turns out you're supposed to visualize success, not your personal highlight reel of embarrassing moments, which you may have those pop up when you first try to learn to visualize. You just got to push past it. In the Uplift app, we have different guided visualizations for different scenarios, like confidence in the workplace and standing firm in difficult conversations. They're also paired with scripture that reinforces your God-given value, which makes them especially powerful. So that's the first thing. Think about a 5-minute visualization, especially if you have something challenging coming up that day. You can do a visualization to prepare yourself. Your brain will act in the way that you visualize acting. Second thing, the confidence power up. I want you to create a 2-minute routine combining a power pose where you're standing up straight, your shoulders are back, you're taking up space. Do some deep breathing and affirm yourself. Give yourself some positive self-talk. Pray into this. Decide what it is that you need to hear and remind yourself. You can use this in situations where you need a confidence boost. Something easy is maybe you take a breath and you say, "He is with me. I've got this." "He is with me. I've got this." And then you can open the door. You can go into the room. That is really powerful. The next one is the evidence journal. Every evening, you can use the Uplift app and do a today's wins journal to write down 3 pieces of evidence that you're capable and confident. You're literally just writing 3 things that were successful today. This gives your brain concrete evidence to counter self-doubt. Number 4, I want you to do a comfort zone stretch. I want you to identify one small action each week that stretches your comfort zone. The key is making these stretches small enough to be doable, but big enough to feel meaningful. Now, number 5, the reframe practice. When you make a mistake or you face rejection, practice actively reframing it as data, not failure. Not to be confused with the other 5-second rule that says it's okay to eat food off the floor. Honestly, though, both require a certain level of confidence. But seriously, think about this reframe as a reframe for your brain. I'm going to tell you about another client of mine, Sarah. Sarah was so paralyzed by self-doubt that she'd rehearse simple phone calls 20 times before making them. After using the evidence journal and the reframing practice for 2 weeks, Sarah started feeling confident. Before long, she negotiated a $12,000 raise without breaking a sweat. That, after rehearsing what she was going to say on a phone call 20 times. Her brain didn't change, but her brain training did. What I had her do is the evidence journal every night, where she would write down her 3 wins from the day. Now, if you don't have time at night and you want to do it at the end of the workday before you leave, that's fine too. Just make sure you do it every day. But the reframing practice was also so practical because instead of her saying, "Oh, I failed. This is the end. Look at what a loser I am," and went, "Oh, this is data. I'm just taking in evidence. That didn't work. Let me tweak it over here and try it again this way." And she learned that every time something didn't go the way she wanted it to go, she wasn't a terrible person. It wasn't evidence that everything's going to blow up on her. No, it was just data. And it works. Brain training works. It's how God created us. So if you are thinking these techniques won't work for my unique, unicorn-specific situation, I do want to tell you, your brain follows the exact same neurological principles as everyone else's. These tools work if you work on them. No exceptions. Now, last thing, I want to share what might be the most powerful thing about confidence. It completely transforms how you handle failure. Because here's the truth. Confident people don't fail less, they fail differently. When you lack confidence, failure feels like confirmation. It says, "See, I knew you couldn't do it." But with confidence, like I said with Sarah, failure becomes data. It's not your identity. It's, "Well, that approach didn't work," instead of, "I am a failure." Brain scans actually show this difference. The confident brain activates problem-solving regions during setbacks, while the unconfident brain lights up with emotional distress. I lived this change. Early in my career, one criticism would derail me for days. It's all I would think about. But as my confidence grew, I started seeing criticism as valuable feedback, not personal attack. There's a lot of typos in my captions. Yeah, I could probably go a little slower and spell check them. Doesn't mean I'm a terrible person, right? Over time, I learned to take bigger risks because I knew I could handle whatever came. Because I wasn't telling myself, "Well, I can never do this. This is just a sign I don't know what I'm doing because I have typos in my caption." It sounds silly, but that's what we do in our brains. This is essentially failure tolerance. And like I said, this may be the most valuable confidence skill there is. It's why in the app, we created the Turning Failures and Setbacks into Stepping Stones journal. It helps you see failures as data points, not endpoints. Users have told me that they're braver and they're ironically been more successful precisely because they're less afraid of failure. So as your confidence grows, you'll develop the resilience to pursue what truly matters, regardless of setbacks. And that's freedom. So confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build through deliberate practice. Your brain is incredibly adaptable, and you can literally rewire it to believe in you more deeply. So here's my challenge for you this week. Choose just one of the 5 confidence building practices we discussed and commit to doing it for 7 days. Just rewind, go over those 5 again, pick the one that resonates with you. I want you to notice one confidence robber in your life. Maybe it's comparison, maybe it's perfectionism, maybe it's ruminating on negative thoughts, and take one small step to address it. And remember that building confidence isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully you. It's about quieting the noise that keeps you small so your authentic voice can actually be heard. Now, recommendation. I have 2 things. My new favorite protein powder. I can't have dairy, so it needs to be a vegan protein powder, which is hard to find. I am loving No Cow chocolate protein powder. It tastes delicious. It tastes super chocolatey. I love No Cow products in general, being on keto and dairy-free, but No Cow chocolate protein powder is my new favorite. It is on subscription. I literally get it shipped to my house every single month. And I also have a movie for you. This is Black Bag by Steven Soderbergh. I love Steven Soderbergh movies. He did all the Oceans movies like Oceans 11, Oceans 12. And it has Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, and it's thriller and it's spy and in classic Steven Soderbergh way. You don't really know what'll happen till he wraps it up at the end. And it is so fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. And you know what else I can't recommend? I can't recommend enough us being together. Thank you for being here with me this week. You could be listening to a lot of shows. There are approximately 1,000,000,002 podcasts out there, but you listen to this one because you're investing in your spiritual health and your emotional health and your personal growth. Because you know it doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone that you love. I want you to know that you're stronger than you think, you're smarter than you give yourself credit for, and braver than you feel in the hard moments. And the best part is you are just getting started. Thank you for letting me coach you. Thank you for letting me cheer you on and remind you that with God, you have what it takes. So keep stepping up, keep showing up and loving well, because you know the truth. You cannot break a woman who gets her strength from God. I hope you have a great day. Keep standing strong, and I'll be back with you soon. We're here. You ready to listen to the show? Sorry. And here's the truth. Blah.